Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, what could be better for the 2025 Divisional Round of the AFC Playoffs? Welcome into today's show. I'm your host, Joey Petersen, and on today's show, we're going to get a little bit of an early preview on the Buffalo Bills, who are set to take on the Baltimore Ravens. The game will be in Buffalo after the last one. The Week 4 matchup was in Baltimore. It's going to be a doozy, folks. I'm so excited for it. Thanks again for tuning in. We're breaking it down all right here on Ravens Rundown. And I want you guys to let me know, okay, if you want to beat Buffalo, I need you to do one thing for me, and that's subscribe to the channel. We're going to be ramping up the coverage, heading into the divisional round, more videos, more everything you do not want to miss. Anything right here on Ravens Rundown. So if you want to beat the Bills, sub to the channel. Here's the matchup we got in the divisional round. As you know, Pittsburgh took the L, 28-14. Baltimore came out on top. And then the Buffalo Bills, just a couple of minutes ago, they took down Denver 31-7. The final score looks like a little bit worse of a game than it actually was. This one going into halftime was only a 3-point game, and that's with Denver missing a kick to go into halftime, which would have tied it 10-10. Nonetheless, Buffalo came out in the second half swinging, took them down 31-17. We still don't know when that game is going to be played. That will be set probably later tonight. I'll let you guys know as that information comes to me. However, you do know it's going to be in Orchard Park, New York, in Highmark Stadium. It's going to be cold, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you that right now. Let's look at how these two teams stack up, okay? Ravens offense, Bills defense. Well, the Ravens have the best offense in the National Football League. There's really no way to put that lightly, okay? 30.5 points a game, 425 yards a game, have the best third down percentage in the NFL, almost at 50%. And they've only turned the ball over 11 times. You look at the Bills defense, they're about middle of the pack in pretty much every statistic except turnovers. 32 on the season. That's third best in the National Football League, giving up a little bit more than 21 points a game. Let's turn it back to the other side, okay? Bills offense, Ravens defense. Bills offense, obviously we know it's their strong suit of the team. You got Josh Allen, you got James Cook, Khalil Shakir, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, and also the best offensive line in football. Second in the league in points per game, 10th in yards per game. They're pretty good on third down in their own right, and they like to keep the ball to themselves. Only 8 turnovers on the year. The Ravens defense, these numbers aren't the best, but when you consider where they were after Week 11, this turnaround to still only be 10th in yards per game, 9th in points per game, and 18th even in third down percentage, this is all a massive step up from where they were just after the first little bit of this season. And it's going to be two offensive firepowers going against each other, powered by two of the best quarterbacks in the game, the two guys leading the MVP race at the current moment. It's going to be fireworks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited to be there. But before we get into anything else and anything more that Baltimore needs to do or keep doing in order to win this game, who you got? I know it's early. I know it's 6 or 7 days away from the game. I want you to claim your allegiance now. And I don't want you to switch up. Do you have Buffalo? Do you have Baltimore? If you got the Bills, give me a BUF in the comment section down below. If you got Ravens, give me a BAL. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's YouTube video. You're about to get hit with an ad break. When that time happens, don't panic. Go down in the comment section. Give me a buff or a ball. This is going to be the second time these two teams have faced off in the year of 2024. I guess the season of 2024. And last time it was all Baltimore. 35-10 was the final score. I think Derrick Henry scored on either the first play from scrimmage or the second play from scrimmage. 89-yard touchdown run, and it was all him all game long. 199 yards on the day for him, 24 carries a touchdown. You can see Lamar Jackson only passed it 18 times. Just one of those games where he didn't need to. You didn't need him to do a lot with his arm. He was doing enough with his legs. Derrick Henry's doing enough with his legs. And this was really the first game that we saw the defense really come out and play. You saw what they did against Josh Allen, right? You saw what they did against James Cook, only holding him to 39 yards on the day. This was Josh Allen's worst game of the year at this point. And so all you got to do is say, you know what? Hell, let's just replicate it. Well, that's a lot easier said than done. So this is what we're going to talk about now, really pretty much for the rest of the episode, is what does Baltimore need to keep going? What do they need to keep doing in order to get the same result they got last night against Pittsburgh and Week 4 against Buffalo next weekend? Well, you got to keep it going. You got to pound the rock. You got to keep pounding the rock, and you saw Derrick Henry do it all night long against Pittsburgh. 26 carries, 186 yards, 7.2 yards per carry with 2 touchdowns. And we talked about him the last time he played this Buffalo Bills team, okay? You see it right there. Lots of stiff arms, lots of contact, lots of green grass ahead of him. And a lot of times, he ended up finding pay dirt, okay? It was his best game of the season at that point. We already talked about it a little bit. 199 yards, 8.3 yards per carry on the day. 24 carries for him as well against Buffalo. It was a solid performance. Obviously, it helps if you break off an 89-yarder right to just open up the start of the game. That's going to get you in a good little rhythm. But he kept it going the entire game because they kept feeding him, just like they've been feeding him these last 4 games. If you take a look at what he's done really since week 16 against Pittsburgh, he's on a career run right now. 162 yards against the Steelers in week 16, then 147 with a touchdown against Houston, 138 with 2 tuds against Cleveland, 186 again last night against the Steelers in the Wildcard round, 2 touchdowns as well. And what I loved about what they did against Pittsburgh and what I want them to keep doing this time against Buffalo is just keep going to the read option. Okay, you kind of got away from it a little bit too much in my opinion, but it just showed how ill-prepared the Steelers were to defend the read option. Because Lamar Jackson just kept taking it and taking it and taking it. And he just kept running it and running it and running it. And you marched all the way down the field in what felt like seconds. Okay, now Buffalo will have about a week to look at that film and see what they need to possibly do different. But you also have to ask the question, what is there to do different? What can you do differently? Is there a way to defend it? If Mike Tomlin, TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, if those guys can't defend it, I feel pretty good about being not defended this next weekend against Buffalo. Speaking of Lamar, speaking of Josh Allen, do you think Lamar is better than Josh Allen? Do you think Lamar Jackson should win MVP over number 17 for the Buffalo Bills? If you think so, I need you to do one thing for me. Super simple. Also, super free to do. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Show me that you believe it by hitting that like button right now. Let's talk about our sponsor, and that is our friends over at Game Time. If you guys want to go see this game, make the trip to Buffalo, you better use our friends over at Game Time to do so, because New Year's brings a lot of great things. Friends, food, celebration, but most importantly, guys, the playoffs. And there's nothing that can quite compare to the rush and excitement you feel watching your team win a playoff game, either at home or on the road. And if you want to have that memory for the rest of your life, that is where Game Time can help out. Game Time has an awesome new feature. It's called Game Time Picks, and that makes getting tickets to your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats that you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The tool highlights the best deals, including great and amazing deals, which are the highest value seats at the time. For some events, Game Time Picks also identifies a super deal, which is the best seat value in the venue. And guys, I want to talk a little bit about the playoff atmosphere in M&T Bank Stadium just last night. It was absolutely electric. You guys were loud. You guys were on your feet all night long. It was amazing to see. Now, you're going to be playing a road playoff game, but to make sure the Bills don't have quite the home field advantage that we had last night, make sure you guys head over to Highmark Stadium. And if you do so, use code ChatSports. Get $20 off your first purchase. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. So you got to keep this going, okay? You did it last night against Pittsburgh. You got to keep it going against Buffalo. You got to limit the turnovers, okay? And we talked about this a decent bit this last week, okay? I think we mentioned it 2 or 3 times. I know we mentioned it on last night's live show leading up to the game, but if you look at the last 4 playoff losses and all of Lamar's playoff losses, turnovers have been the thing that have bit him and this team in the ass, okay? 2-4, I guess his record's now 3-4. 6 turnovers, okay, in total from Lamar Jackson. The 2023 loss to Kansas City, 3 turnovers in total. 2 picks, 1 strip sack fumble. 2022 lost to Cincinnati, 1 interception, 1 fumble. The 2020 loss to Buffalo, 1 pick, that was a pick 6. Now, Lamar Jackson wasn't the quarterback in that game because he was injured, but still, you get what I'm saying. 2019 loss to the Tennessee Titans, 3 turnovers, 2 picks, 1 fumble. So in every single one of those losses, you can point to turnovers being a key issue in that. But when you look at last night's win, you can see turnovers were not even a part of that game. You didn't turn the ball over 1 time, and it was beautiful to see, okay? Because the last couple times you played Pittsburgh, no, you didn't turn over as much when you played them in Week 16. You still fumbled the football 3 times. You just happened to recover all 3. But last night, against Pittsburgh, Lamar was phenomenal, okay? We all know the stats, the completion percentage, the yards, the touchdowns. I am most excited about this goose egg right here on the bottom. 0 picks. 0 fumbles. He was smart when he ran the ball. He slid when he needed to slid. And he was precise, efficient, and accurate when passing the football. And that needs to be the exact same thing when you're looking at playing this Buffalo Bills team. Because I don't know if you remembered from the graphic at the beginning of the show, but they turned the ball over at a very high rate. They've got 32 on the year. Okay? 32. They're averaging just under 2 a game turnovers forced. They've got 16 picks. That's 5th most. They forced 18 fumbles. That's 3rd most. They've recovered 16 of them. That is the most in the National Football League. So if you want to win this game, you got to pound the rock. You got to limit the turnovers because this Bills defense has an eye and a nose for the football. Last thing, you got to keep going. You got to keep playing disciplined football. There's a reason I put Ronnie Stanley on that picture right there. I'm sorry, Ronnie Stanley. Don't want to throw any shade at you. But still, he has been he's been a penalty machine for this entire season. And when you look back at the entire season and you look at every single one of the games that you've lost, 80% of them, you can circle penalties as having been a problem. Everyone except the Eagles game. You only had 4 penalties for 20 yards in that one. But against the Chiefs, Raiders, Browns, and Steelers, those 4 losses combined to 37 penalties with 64, 109, 53, and 80 yards. Now, the silver lining of all this is last night against Pittsburgh, you were fantastic in this area. Only 3 penalties, 14 yards, all of them pre-snap, 2 of them on Ronnie Stanley, 1 of them on Roger Rosengard, all of them are false starts. None of them, knock on wood, thankfully, were drive killers, right? You were able to move past those. You were able to get first downs even on 2nd and long, 2nd and medium, okay? But the last time you played this Buffalo Bills team, penalties were a problem. Now, you're thankful that the offense and the defense were so good that they could overcome that, but I don't know if you have that luxury this late in the season with Buffalo playing as good a football as they have been playing. Because last time you had 8 penalties, and that resulted in 79 yards. But now you're playing a Buffalo Bills team that is technically in week 20 of their season. They've won 14 games. They just beat their playoff opponent 31-7. Do you think that this team has the luxury to commit 8 penalties for 79 yards? Because I don't think they do. Okay, so if those 3 things happen, in my opinion, if you keep those 3 things going that you've been having going for you on this 5-game win streak, you win this game. Okay, speaking of the game, I'm going to ask you to predict it for me. Down below in our comment section, what is your score prediction for Bills versus Ravens? Okay, I'm going to do another preview video way later in this week. Probably the day of game time is when it's going to come out. I'm going to give you my real, I'm not going to give a ton of thought into this. I'm just going to say a number. I think Ravens win 31-24. I think they win by a touchdown. I think it's a high-scoring affair. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. This has been Ravens Rundown. I am your host, Joey Petersen. We'll be here all week long. We'll be live for the game whenever they decide it to be, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever it is. We'll be live for it. Cannot wait. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we're ramping up the coverage during this playoff season. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.